So if anybody is here, please leave a comment so I know that you're here. If you are watching this now or watching this later on, one thing I need to get out of the way: by the time you hear this forecast, or even if you're watching it now, if I haven't updated the forecast, the information that you see may have changed and is subject to change. Even information I'm speaking right now, within an hour or any amount of time really. These forecasts can change very drastically, so any information provided should be taken at face value. It should not be taken as fact. I am not a real meteorologist. I have no formal education in meteorology. I am just commenting on what is publicly available on the internet in terms of looking at weather forecast and offering commentary on it. Any information that I do give through these websites should be confirmed by personal research from official sources. I am using a variety of websites. I am using the tropicaltidbits.com, the weather.gov, earth.noschool.net, nhc.noaa.gov, and unc.edu. And of course, I'm live streaming through YouTube right now. So yeah, as always, whether the weather that you receive is severe or mild, stay safe and stay updated. And so without further ado, let me go on to the YouTube on my phone. If anyone is watching, please comment. I'm watching the comment section through my phone, so I will be able to respond if you're here. If I notice someone new comment, I will go through the information that I just did, maybe more summarized. But anyways, we have a system to look at that may impact the eastern United States. Now, this is very far off. It is very likely to change. However, it is worth noting, so I figured I'd do a video on it. And I will continue to post updates on my Facebook as long as it remains a threat, especially to the area that I'm in. And it impacts some pretty large cities. Hold on one moment. Okay, so if anyone has joined, please leave a comment down below and I will see it on my phone. I have it up. If I get distracted for something, if I get distracted, I will be back shortly. But anyways, this is right now, this is what we see. This is a wind map. We will be looking at the various maps. Hold on. Okay, so I'm doing the live stream. If anyone's here, please feel free to leave a comment if anyone is here, so that I know that you're there. I'm watching on my phone. Okay, so this is right now. This is a wind map. Lower dynamics, MSLP, and 850 HPA. So this is right now. Hold on. Again. Okay, so I will continue now. If anybody is here, please say hello in the comments. I'm watching the comments on my phone. So here's where we are now. This is a map of the wind, and this is what we're watching. We'll be watching this low pressure right over here, because this current model, the GFS model, is forecasting some development with this storm, and we will discuss that as we go through this forecast. So I will, right now we are at 0, I will move 24 hours ahead. That's 1 day ahead, and it should develop within 24 hours. It won't be a tropical storm. However, some of the thunderstorms may have tropical storm force winds. Over here we could see it's not really a circle around the center of the low pressure, which would indicate a tropical storm. However, like over here, not a tropical storm, but tropical storm force winds out to sea over here. But anyways, 24 hours, the wind should start to pick up around it. 48 hours, looking pretty much the same. 72 hours, still looking pretty much the same. That's 3 days from now. 96 hours, starting to look a little bit more rounded, so it might be a tropical storm, but still not a complete rotation yet. So for now, probably not. 120 hours. In 120 hours, or in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days from now, we see a more defined rotation. Tropical storm force winds, maybe category 1 hurricane force winds is what this model is showing. We'll go over here. This will show us if there's, so this one is showing a well-defined rotation, so possibly a very small hurricane or tropical storm or tropical depression will be possible in 5 days. The National Hurricane Center does the 2-day and 5-day chance of development. It gives it a 20% chance of developing within the next 5 days, and near 0% chance over the next 2 days. So within the next 5 days, they're not saying it's going to really develop. The GFS model is showing that there might be some development, but in line with theirs, it's looking pretty small, so not really anything significant. If there's anyone watching right now, please leave a comment so I know that you're there. Let's go on to 6 days from now. We still have a possible category 1 hurricane right over here. Let's go to 68 hours. Again, same thing, small possible tropical cyclone or low pressure with thunderstorms and heavy winds going into this area. Let me see. I believe that's Haiti and Dominican Republic, but let me check to confirm. And Puerto Rico over here. Yes, Haiti and Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. Yes, right over here. We have tropical storm or hurricane conditions possible in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. So in about a week, we might have a tropical cyclone that might be brewing in this part of the Caribbean. Let's see, going on 8 days. So it looks like it gets disorganized, and from here on I'm just going to go by the hour as the system moves pretty quickly from this point. Cuba, I believe this is, Turks and Caicos, the Bahamas, tropical storm conditions possible in 192 hours from now. In 198 hours, same thing. Looks like it's weakening as it's over these islands. But then we start to see a little purple come up. Usually I would have this closer zoomed in, but this isn't an invest yet, so I'm not able to zoom in on it in that manner at this time. However, I can give an estimate based off of the colors and looking over here. So basically from the green up to the red is tropical storm force winds. From the purple here to this lighter purple is about category 1 hurricane. From here to here, no, from here to here is about category 1. Over to here is about category 2. Over here is about a 3, a 4, and so on. I think. I'm not really sure. But we can see over here this isn't knots. So if we see some purple over there, let's say it's over here. Let's say 64. So what I would do, knots, 64, about 73. So yeah, around 75 mile per hour winds. That would be a category 1 hurricane in the purple region here. As you go into the light purples, it's category 2. As you go into the pinks and the reds, you have major hurricane strength. Again, if I was a professional meteorologist, I wouldn't need to check this or use any of these other websites. I'd just be able to tell you I'm not a professional, so do not take what I say as actual fact. It's just information that's open to the public online and me commenting on what I see. So now in 228 hours, still a small, relatively small hurricane or tropical storm. If we move on, 264, you start to see the storm growing. By this point, tropical storm force winds might, according to this model anyways, this may very well and likely will change. Whether having it go this way more or this way more, or continuing the same way but at a different strength. A lot of these things that you see now will likely change. But within 264 hours, that would be within 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 10, 11 days, tropical storm conditions are possible to begin in some parts of Florida around July 21st. Right, July 22nd, we see more tropical storm force winds coming in. Hurricane force winds building up in the center, starting to broaden out. We see some of the lighter purples, like over here, so around 96, let's say, at the minimum. Convert 110 miles per hour. That would be a strong category 2 hurricane, borderline category 3 hurricane. We move on, still seeing those light pinks. Hurricane force winds may be possibly brushing the coast of Florida at this point. Now, if this model is off by even a few miles, which it very likely is, being how far off into the future it is and how inaccurate these things to be that far in advance, if it's off by a few miles, either this way or this way, that'll make a big difference in terms of impacts. If the storm goes more this way, then there won't be hardly any impacts, maybe some rip current right on Florida's coast. However, if the storm moves further this way, you have a direct landfall into Florida, or possibly moving into Gulf of Mexico with warm waters and getting even stronger. In either case, the impacts that we are seeing now are based off of what we see here, but these are the actual impacts may be drastically different depending on how accurate this is in terms of where it is and how strong it is. If it's inaccurate in terms of the wind speed, if it's a little bit less, again, less impact. But if it's off in terms of wind speed and the actual wind speeds are much stronger, then we could have a category 5 hurricane in this area. In either case, the information here, the value that we should put on it is that we need to watch for a system. This is not a guarantee of what will happen, but that we need to watch this general area for a hurricane that has the potential to be quite strong, impacting somewhere within this region. Anywhere from this region here to over here needs to watch the storm. I would say for the Caribbean, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Cuba, Virgin Islands, Bahamas, they all need to watch because this tropical system is going to be coming through and producing a lot of heavy rain and wind regardless of development. So they still need to watch. In terms of the United States, East Coast needs to watch this system very closely. The inside the Gulf of Mexico areas over here still need to watch the storm in case the model switches over and has it come in this direction or any other direction. This whole area needs to watch for the possibility of this storm. But for now, we are going to use the forecast that this is using for our information. If anyone has joined, please feel free to comment down below. In 324 hours, we still see the hurricane getting stronger. And by 336 hours, within 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 days from now, we will see the storm move over here. I believe that's correct. It may not even be correct. I don't know. Either way, with July 24th. So today is the 10th. Yeah, that's around 14 days from now. In 14 days, yes, because as you get closer here, it starts jumping more time. Within 14 days, a major hurricane will be here. Now again, if this is off by a little bit, if it comes closer to shore, Georgia, the Carolinas, Virginia, Florida, they need to watch this system, because if it comes in a little closer, you'll have a major hurricane with 115 mile per hour winds potentially coming inland. If it's off going this way, then there won't really be any impacts. If it's moving faster, we might have a hurricane in New York by that time. If it's a little slower, Florida may still be receiving impacts. If it's more this way, then these states over here. Let me look up on Google Maps. See, my geography is not good. That's why I'm not a real meteorologist. Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama. All these areas over here, and Mexico included, if this thing is off and the storm actually moves this way as opposed to this way, then these areas by this time might have a hurricane making landfall. So something to keep watch. If it's moving very slow and it's still over here, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Cuba, they may still be getting impacts. So a lot of variables that are unknown, but we need to watch this area very carefully. Moving on to 348 hours from now, July 25th, midnight. What time zone is this? I don't even know what time zone. But anyways, it's close enough. July 25th around midnight. Let's see, does it say what time zone? No. If anyone knows what time zone this goes based off of, please let me know in the comments. I don't think too many people watching. If anyone's watching, please leave a comment. I'm watching on my phone for any comments. But anyways, at this point, the Carolinas and Georgia, as in particularly South Carolina and North Carolina, might be getting hurricane impacts over here. I'm going to move the map to, where is it? Eastern United States to get a closer look at the system. Okay, here we go. Again, we see these darker colors, so that's 110. Let's take a look at that. What this is forecasting. 126 miles an hour. So let's look over here. What does that equate to? 126 miles an hour equates to a Category 3 hurricane. Solid Category 3. Millibars, 946. What does that equate to? 946 falls under a Category 3 hurricane. So it is possible, according to the GFS model, that in 348 hours, July 25th midnight, we can have a Category 3 hurricane over here, very close to land. And again, if this is off by a couple of miles, you could have a Category 3 hurricane making landfall in North Carolina, South Carolina, or Georgia, or even Florida. If it's off a couple miles going in the other direction, again, there might not be too many impacts. But even if this is dead on and the storm is going to be right here as Category 3, you're going to have storm surge coming in. As the storm spins this way, you're going to have a lot of storm surge coming in, especially along these areas here. There's going to be storm surge here as well. You might have heavy winds coming in from the storm. You might have thunderstorms, possibility of tornadoes as they come in contact with land, and severe thunderstorms. I'm sure on the Weather Channel, if this does come to fruition, they will be talking about that at some point as well. As we continue, still showing these pink colors, so a Category 3 hurricane. Hurricane force winds, the eye wall of the storm, in North Carolina. So if you're in North Carolina, you need to watch this storm. Tropical storm force winds along here. People who live there know these areas, so you might want to comment down below if you live in these areas, what these towns would be along this area, and along here in particular, because of the risk of hurricane conditions. And again, if it's a Category 3 hurricane, the winds may be a little bit more uniform, especially if it's Category 3. That's a pretty well-defined system. The winds will be pretty uniform, so the Category 3 force winds will likely extend even inland. So very dangerous scenario. If this is correct, again, this is likely to change. If it's off by a few miles, the storm may make landfall here, or may be further up or further down or further this way. It may be stronger, it may be weaker. We just don't know. But we know that this part of the United States needs to watch the system because we don't know how strong it's going to be. We don't know exactly where it's going to be. However, this is sort of an idea that this may be possible. I remember when I forecasted during the winter months over here in the United States for storms in Australia, it would forecast these big Category 3 storms, but they never happened. That's also a possibility. The storm hasn't formed yet. There's a possibility it might get dry air in the center of rotation and just never develop. But if it develops and if it comes up the East Coast, this is something we need to watch a possibility of. So moving on to the next time. 372 hours. It looks like the eye of the storm, according to this forecast, is moving a little further offshore. That's a good thing if that's correct, but tropical storm force winds still in Long Island, Staten Island, New York, New Jersey. Let me look up what these states are. Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Virginia are all forecasted to get tropical storm force winds by this time in July 26th, midnight. Now, again, this is very, very likely to change. If it's off by a little bit and it comes more this way, we could deal with a Sandy scenario, but with a Category 3 hurricane. That would be catastrophic. If it's off by a little bit going this way, we might not have hardly any impacts, except maybe some rip currents along the coast and rough seas. Now, if it's wrong and the storm is actually stronger than what it's predicting, then that would be a terrifying scenario for this area, because you would have a major Category 4 or 5 hurricane hitting this area. If it's weaker, even if it's not terribly weaker than what it's forecasting, if it's, let's say, Category 1 even, if it is, I mean, much weaker than what it's forecasting, and it's only a Category 1 or a tropical storm. Sandy was a tropical storm, so there could still be impacts from this system, even if it's not a major hurricane. It's been a long time since we did have a Category 3 storm. The last one was in 1938, and I believe this area is supposed to get a Category 3 once every 70 years. So we are in this area due for a Category 3 storm. Is this that storm? Too early to tell. Within about a week or so, as the models keep running and they keep being able to be more accurate, as time gets closer, we'll know for sure. But if this is that Category 3 storm, this whole area needs to seriously watch, because that would be a very dangerous situation. Earlier runs of this model did show the storm making a direct impact in New York City as a very powerful hurricane. So this is not something to take lightly. July 26th, look out for a possible tropical cyclone. If we move on to July 26th around noon, the storm is showing it's going to move fairly quickly. Tropical storm force winds in these areas over here. Long Island still getting tropical storm force winds. And as would be expected, as it gets to cooler waters, it would start to show signs of disorganization, as you see the hurricane force winds sort of disconnecting here. But over here, you still see Category 3 hurricane force winds. If this is off and these actually go to the other side of the system, that's a big deal. You'll have Category 3 hurricane force winds impacting this far north of the United States. That would be a pretty rare event, but not impossible. So something that we definitely need to watch with the storm. That's as far as the forecast goes up to. It doesn't go any further. The main point to keep in mind with this system, there is the chance of a major hurricane hitting the northeast United States, hitting the southeast United States, hitting the south central United States. We don't know where this storm is going to hit. We don't know if it's going to form. However, the ingredients are there, and the steering is there for a hurricane to form and impact the United States coastal area. So it is, I highly recommend people that live along even from Texas to Florida to New York to Maine to Canada even. Start preparing your plans. Get them ready. You don't need to start panicking or anything at this time. The storm hasn't formed yet, so we don't know exactly what it's going to do. The best scenario, it doesn't form at all. A close second would be that it forms, but it goes out to sea. Those would be the best scenarios. But if this model holds true, we could have a very bad situation for the eastern seaboard of the United States, all the way from Florida up to Maine. So these storms, we really need to keep an eye on them. So please have your plans ready. Have your evacuation plans ready. Look around, see what things you need for a first aid kit. Have water in supply. Have gasoline in supply if you need for your car. If you are ordered to evacuate because of a Category 3 hurricane coming to New York City, then have a plan as to where you will go. If you have family that you can go to in other states, not just down the block. Down the block is not going to make a difference in a hurricane. If you have a major hurricane, going down the block isn't going to do much unless it's a designated shelter zone. The best thing to do in a major hurricane is to go inland. Unless, of course, the storm is going to go inland, in which case you would want to go further inland. So let's say 5 days before the hurricane, it's over here, and we hear that it's going to go inland into New Jersey. Just as an example. That's not necessarily what's going to happen, but as an example, let's say it's going to go inland to New Jersey. If you're in New Jersey and you need to evacuate, if you just come, let's say, over here, you're still going to have a lot of rain and flooding in the mountains and things like that. So that's another thing to consider. Just because you're not on the shoreline doesn't mean you can't get damage. You're still going to have heavy wind, heavy rain, and possibly flooding and landslides. So if the storm was to come in here and you have the wind speeds reaching all the way over here, let's say, you might want to consider moving somewhere over here for a evacuation, if you are able to. It's best to try and find a shelter, an evacuation shelter or something like that. If you're not able to, then head out somewhere that you can. If you have family, anywhere else, go there. If you're able to. If you're not able to go anywhere, go to a local evacuation center or ask your local officials for advice on what you should do. Again, don't take anything that you see here as like this is what's going to happen, because we don't know what's going to happen. We just have to watch as the storm develops, see what the model continues to say, and see what the forecasters say, and also see what the local officials say. If, as we get closer, you hear tropical storm watches, hurricane warnings, things like that, that's when you put your plans in action. Right now is when we put our plans in place. We start making our plans. When we start hearing the watches and warnings and evacuation orders, that's when our plans go into effect. So everywhere from Texas to Florida to Maine, this whole area, start reviewing your plans, making your plans, and having them ready to go. Have a go bag ready, as a bag with medical supplies, food to last you if you are stuck, water to last you, anything like that will help in these things. It's best to have a flashlight and some batteries, some blankets if you are able to fit some blankets in a bag. Things that you would need to survive in a situation if you were stuck a week without food or electricity or water. Important things to keep in mind. But again, we have this strong system. We're going to look at the overall, we're going to look at all these different ones. If anyone is watching right now, please leave a comment down below. Okay, so this is rain. So we're going to see the movement of it in terms of rain. Again, whether or not it develops, these areas are still going to get a lot of rain and wind. So still something to watch in Puerto Rico, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Cuba, and the Virgin Islands. And along its entire path, there's still going to have rain and thunderstorms from the outer bands. Again, we see a very powerful hurricane coming up the east coast. 24-hour accumulated rain. So this shows how much rain we'll get in a 24-hour period. It's this little blue blob here that we want to watch. That is our system. Just look on top of those numbers there. That shows the latitude and longitude, by the way. So heavy rain, as would be expected with a tropical system. So let's say, for example, over here in Haiti, it's forecasting about, in some areas, 12 inches of rain, a foot of rain. That's a lot of rain. You're going to have a lot of flooding, landslides, things like that. Need to watch. Virgin Islands, you see some areas of yellow. That's 12 inches of rain. Very dangerous. Over here especially, we have well over 12 inches of rain. More into the 24 inches of rain. 2 feet of rain. That's a lot of rain. A lot of flooding possible in those areas. You see the system come over here. We have rain. Oh, my Siri is acting up. Okay. If you see, as you can see here, we have these purples over here. If this is, again, if this is off and it comes a little bit closer inland, you'll have 3.5 to 6 inches of rain in some areas along the coastline. That's very dangerous for flooding and things like that. MSLP and plot. This is the GFS MSLP, total precipitable water and wind. Here's our storm over here, the low pressure, follow that L. Storm strengthens. There's a lot of dry air. That would be the only thing that might prevent this storm from developing. Let's hope that continues. The mountains, of course, disrupt the circulation. The model is forecasting it to make a comeback and to really strengthen, have tons of moisture in its center, and bring that up the east coast. Anomaly. So this is GFS MSLP, total precipitable water, normalized anomaly, and wind. I'm not sure what all that means either. I'm just watching it because it looks cool. Again, if you have any questions or anything, if you're here watching, please leave a comment down below and let me know that you're here so I can see you there. So again, this is humidity and moisture and precipitable water. So this means the sort of the total potential rain that a system might produce, I guess. I think that's what it means. Relative humidity. So GFS MSLP in millibars, 700, 400 HPA relative humidity percentage, and 700 to 400 HPA wind in knots. So here is our little area here to watch. Relatively moist air, some dry air over here. If that gets into the system, we're good. If this moisture feeds the system, not so good. Moisture is good for hurricanes. Dry air is bad for hurricanes. Lower dynamics. This is geopoint height, cyclonic vorticity, and wind. So basically spin in the atmosphere. That's another thing when looking at tropical cyclones is the spin in the atmosphere, hurricane spin. So you want to look at spin. Very concentrated rotation, so that indicates a tropical cyclone. As expected, breaks up over the mountains, comes very close towards Florida and the northeast United States. 850 MB geopotential height and cyclonic vorticity and wind. Again, here's our area to keep an eye on here. Concentrated rotation. Anywhere where you see concentrated rotation like that, you always need to watch, because concentrations like that are usually, something like a hurricane is what causes, especially concentrations like that. So something to watch there. You saw that one already. 10-meter wind. So this is more sustained wind gusts, I believe. Oh, need time to load. I'll start from here. Here's our area of low pressure here. Starting to see tropical storm winds over here. Going over Haiti. Disorganizing. Starting to reorganize by Florida into a bigger system. Much larger hurricane. So this is one of the things that I want to make mention of. Why I don't use this one compared to the other one. So when you see the tropical storm force winds here, and you see it going over land, basically you notice, I don't know if you can notice that, but maybe if I zoom into the Caribbean, these Western Atlantic, it doesn't show the wind over land very much at all, which sort of can be misleading. You see over here it shows it coming back the other side, but not really much wind when it comes on land, which is kind of misleading. I mean, you know, this stuff of course is accurate, but if you're trying to look at how strong a hurricane is going to be and how far those winds are going to be, this is a much more better way to go. Like you see here that there will be hurricane force winds over here. That's if this model holds true, by the way. Again, if officials are forecasting one thing and I'm forecasting another, it's best to follow their forecast as opposed to mine. Quick play. So as with all the others, you see it start to develop by Florida before it comes up the East Coast, bringing a lot of dangerous conditions with it. So moving on, this one is surface pressure and wind. This is also important. Let it load a bit. This is important because with surface pressure, the lower the pressure, the stronger the hurricane. So that's another thing you could look at too if you don't know how to like read the colors. Just look at the number here. The lower it is, the stronger the storm. Over here, I'll go over here. So with millibars, greater than 980 is going to be a Category 1 or less storm. 979 to 965 is going to be a Category 2 storm. 964 to 945 is going to be a Category 3 storm. 944 to 920 is going to be a Category 4. Less than 920 is going to be a Category 5. Now, Category 1 is minimal damage. You can pause and read all this if you want to. Category 2 is moderate damage. Category 3 is extensive damage. Category 4 is extreme damage. Category 5 is catastrophic damage potential. Alright, so this is loaded. Play. As you see, 999 millibars, 988, 986, going over land, sort of weakening, but then building up again, 980, 982, 972, 961, 955, 949. So we saw there 949. So again, coming over here, 949, where would that put us? 949 would put us at a Category 3 hurricane. So very likely to have a Category 3 hurricane in this region, or at least it's possible. That could very well change. The forecast could change. But the possibility of a Category 3 hurricane coming up the East Coast is very possible. When it comes near New York City, 951. Where does that put us? 951. That still puts us at Category 3 hurricane. So it is possible, if this is off by a little bit, that we could have a Category 3 major hurricane hitting New York City in July 26th. Or within that time, July 27th, July 28th, July 25th, July 24th. Within that time, a Category 3 hurricane, depending how fast the system moves and how accurate this is, a Category 3 hurricane may hit New York City, New Jersey, and all these other states within the next 2 weeks. Something that we definitely need to watch for. If anyone's there, please leave a comment so I know you're there. I'm watching the comments on my phone. Okay, MSLP 48-hour forecast trend. What's this one? Oh, so this shows every 48 hours the GFS 48-hour linear forecast trend in MSLP. 99% confidence level. So I'm guessing the blue is low pressure, the red is high pressure. That's what I think. Again, concentrated low pressure is bad. When you have a hurricane, high pressure is good. Hurricanes, the lower the pressure, the stronger the hurricane. It only goes up to July 24th and it shows very, very low pressure, which means a strong hurricane possible in this area. The pressure is low enough for a hurricane, the moisture is there for a hurricane, the wind is there for a hurricane. The ingredients are there for a hurricane, so we need to watch this area. I can't express that enough. What's this? Oh wait, wrong one. MSLP anomaly? Okay, so this is basically same. Red is high pressure, blue is low pressure. Is this gonna load? No? Bring this over here. Okay. Can I see high pressure in the beginning dominating the overall area? And then, oh, please work properly. Very low pressure here. You can see an overall low pressure throughout this area. That's good for the hurricane. That's not so good for us. You see typically you have the jet stream that's going this way. You have a very high pressure over here. High pressure pushes in this direction. Jet stream pushes in this direction. So what's going to happen? The jet stream is going to push it this way. High pressure is going to push it this way. Can't go this way, can't go this way. So where is it going to go? Up the East Coast. That's what the model is showing right now anyways. I think my parents might be home. Might be coming home. If so, I will have to end this. If not, I will continue. I heard car doors. But anyways, or I might just pause it and see if I'm able to continue. If not, then I will see you later. I'm not a professional, so please get your information from a professional source. Just reading information I find available on the public internet and commenting on it. So please go to official sources. Any information that I have given or may give should be confirmed by personal research and should not be taken as fact. These forecasts are constantly changing, sometimes drastically changing to something completely different than what is forecasted here. So it's best to continue to update yourself and keep checking back regularly on these websites to get the latest information. So nobody has come yet, so I'm going to continue. If anybody does come by, then I'll pause, and if need be, I will exit. If I am able to continue, then I will. But for now, I will continue. So you see again, the low pressure, the high pressure, keeping it pushed this way, and that creating a situation where you have a potential hurricane on the east coast of the United States. Very dangerous indeed. Okay, so this one is, again, very similar. I'm not going to bother with that one. I don't know what that is. See, I'm not a real meteorologist. You shouldn't trust what I say. Okay, so this one, I believe, is rotation. I believe these are, let's see, cyclonic, PV, wind, pressure, and this is upper dynamics, not lower dynamics, so this is what's going on thousands of feet in the atmosphere as opposed to right where we are on the ground and 100 feet above us. So this shows cyclonic vorticity, which is important when forecasting a hurricane, because hurricanes rotate. No rotation, no hurricane. Strong rotation, hurricane. Yep, they're coming home. I'm pausing for a minute.